Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 196. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. We are continuing with our room by room series. We're not actually doing a room this time. We are doing closets. I always think about the first time someone told me what a Monica closet was. If you have watched this show, Friends, it's like this hidden closet where you open it up, everything falls on you. So if you have one or more Monica closets, or if you just want to get your closets under control, today's episode is for you. We are going through 3 simple steps to declutter your closets. So what do you say? Grab that notebook and pen and let's dive into today's episode. Hey Mama, are you tired of your cluttered home and mile-long to-do lists but are too overwhelmed to know where to start? Do you lack the time and motivation and don't think you'll ever conquer the clutter? You're in the right place. I'm Emily, wife, boy mom, and declutter coach who has overcome the overwhelm in my own life through decluttering and simplifying. I believe every mom deserves the peace that comes from a clutter-free home. Ready to get your life back? Let's declutter your home, head, and heart together. If you need some additional motivation to declutter this summer, you are in luck. We are continuing with decluttering challenges in our Facebook group, not as frequently as we do during the normal year because let's face it, it's summer. But if you head over to tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm, I would love to welcome you and to provide you with some decluttering tips and support. And can't wait to see you over there. So let's go ahead and dive into all things closets. I'm going to be focusing primarily on clothing closets and the linen closet. Okay, so let's start with step number 1, which is that we need to create our plan. Now, I've mentioned this in previous episodes in the room by room series, but the 3 questions that I recommend asking before you approach any space, they're the 3 F's. How do I want this space to feel? How do I want it to function? How do I want it to flow? Now for closets, you don't really have the feel and flow as much unless you have like a huge walk-in closet where you can actually flow through the closet. So it's more so function. And so when we are approaching any kind of closet space, we want to be asking ourselves, what is actually working here, if anything? Like, is there anything that you like or appreciate about your closet? Things are easy to access, or you just like the way that they look or that they're organized. And of course, what's not working here? That list might be a little bit longer, right? And then what can I do or improve about what's not working? So sometimes you might have the option in a closet to change the configuration of the shelves, that you might be able to change how many shelves there are or the distance between the shelves. I was working with a client recently where the closet was gorgeous, but there were all these shelves that were super, super close together. And she was trying to like kind of put random things in between and it wasn't very functional. So the question is, can we make this space a little bit more functional for the things that you have and the things that you use frequently? Because we always want to keep function in mind first. And anything that we are needing or wanting to access regularly, we want to have on the shelves or the hanging rods that are closest to us to eye level for what we can reach. And anything that's more like storage or things we don't need as often, those can be either on the floor perhaps. And I'm not talking about piles of clothes on the floor. I'm talking about having things in an organized manner on the floor or more likely on the upper shelves. So some examples of this, I have a linen closet. It's fairly small because we're in a townhouse. And any kind of extra towels or sheets, which we don't have many of, they're on the top shelf. Then we have our beach towels, again, that we're not using as often. And then eye level is what we use regularly, which would be our normal family's sheets and towels. In my clothing closet, anything that's eye level, I have the hanging clothes. We also have some pull-out wire drawers where I put like my jeans and my shorts and some sweatshirts. And then on the upper level, we have some shelves where I put bins for blankets or suitcases or travel bags. Again, the things that we don't use as often. So having that plan in advance just kind of helps you to visualize what you want the closet to look like. And then you can move on to step number 2, which is to declutter using the container concept for each subcategory. So we're going to look at how much do we actually need and assigning a boundary for each subcategory. So let's start with the linen closet. It's a little easier to tackle. You really want to ask yourself, how many towels and sheets do I actually need? So I have a family of 4, and right now, because my kids are older, meaning they're not having accidents in the night, with their sheets, we have 2 sets of sheets per person and 2 sets of towels per person. So if your kids are younger and so you might want to have extra sheets, that is totally understandable. I also currently we have 1 beach/pool towel per person. Of course, if you feel like, oh, wow, well, we're doing swim team, so if we had 1 towel, that wouldn't really work. That's totally fine. You have to do it based upon what your family needs. But a lot of times we're holding on to a lot of extra just in case, and it's just cluttering up our closet and we don't really need it. So for clothing closets, I like to determine boundaries for hanging things by subcategory. And I'm going to link to a playlist all about the episodes I've had about wardrobe and clothing, decluttering, capsule wardrobes, those types of things. So you can dive in a little bit deeper. But generally speaking, if you have hanging rods for clothing, you can assign a certain amount of hangers or a certain amount of space per subcategory. And what I mean by that would be, okay, tank tops, short sleeve shirts, long sleeve shirts, sweatshirts, those types of things. So any kind of subcategory, you just want to have a certain amount of space assigned to it. And I actually worked with a client recently, like I mentioned, in her closet. I like to remove all of the extra hangers because it really gives you an actual sense of how much you have. And then you find out, wow, I have a ton of extra hangers, but just kind of putting those to the side so that what you have hanging up is what you're actually dealing with, like the clothing and what you're actually wearing. And for shelves, I recommend that you create boundaries if they don't exist, so things aren't loose. Because a lot of times I see things that are loose, they're just kind of thrown every which way. And there are some like fabric, clothing, and closet organizing bins where they're sloped down slightly so they're more accessible in the front. I'm going to link to an option in the show notes. Of course, you can get whatever you want, but that really helps to provide, again, those boundaries around the subcategories for things where you may not have a drawer to put them in or you may not want to hang them. So that could be workout clothes or perhaps like your bras or perhaps your swimming suits or something like that. So that's a really good option. And then when it comes to the bins or your drawers, you're going to make those decisions playing the wonderful game that I always talk about, love, like, maybe, no. So you start with what you love and what you like, and then as the space is becoming full, then you're making decisions on the rest. And something to keep in mind is you want to consider the frequency in which you do laundry, because even if you did laundry once a week, which most people I meet do it more often than that, the most you'd need from any subcategory would be maybe 14 things. So you are wearing a shirt and then you spill coffee on it, so you need a backup shirt. That's like 2 shirts a day, right? Times the 7 days, 14. And so you can experiment with doing like a capsule wardrobe concept using the clothes that you wear the most. There's also the very fun reverse hanger trick, where you put all of your hangers backwards, and as you wear things, you turn the hanger around, and that really gives you a sense of what you're actually wearing. And you can experiment with that limited wardrobe, which makes things so much easier. I cannot stress it enough. I must say the thing that has helped the most when it comes to simplifying my life has been simplifying my clothing, for sure. So that is step number 2, and now we're moving on to step number 3, which is to notice aspirational clutter and consider an out of sight, out of mind bin. Now, aspirational clutter, we talk about in episode 10. It is a huge issue for women, but especially for clothing. So it's anything that fits you in a previous season of life, meaning you were doing different things, or a previous season, meaning that it just doesn't physically fit you anymore. And for me, that was dresses. Like I had probably at one time 50 some dresses. It was like my kryptonite. I would go on ModCloth and I would like get all of these fit and flare dresses. And actually very recently, and I've been on this minimalist path for 10 years now, I just recently got rid of one dress where it was like the dress. Like, oh, I will fit back into this someday. And I just kind of had to let it go and be like, that dress doesn't define me. Doesn't have to make me feel bad because I don't fit into it anymore. And that also I'm not really wearing like those types of dresses anymore, if any kind of dresses. So just being kind with yourself and accepting the season that you're in and the body that you have now. But if you're like, oh, I just really can't let some of these things go, then you can use that out of sight, out of mind bin. It's really, really important. And what differentiates an out of sight, out of mind bin from a maybe pile is that the out of sight, out of mind bin has a deadline. So what might make sense is you have the deadline for clothing being in 3-month increments, because normally, depending on where you live, you're changing out clothing seasonally about every 3 months. And so if you're not missing it after the 3 months when you're doing that clothing switch out, then you can go ahead and let it go. So there you go. There's my recommendations for your 3 simple steps to declutter your closet. Number 1, create your plan. Number 2, declutter using the container concept for each subcategory. And number 3, notice any aspirational clutter and consider using that out of sight, out of mind bin. And we will continue for at least through July doing the room by room series. I hope that you are enjoying it. If you are, I would really appreciate if you left a review for the show on Apple Podcasts if you haven't already, or head on over to the Facebook group, tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm, and let me know what you think over there and how you are doing with your closets. So I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye for now. Hey Mama, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, could you please share this episode with another mom who is feeling overwhelmed? Also, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a 5-star written review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Finally, if you would like more support, come on over to our free Facebook group, tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. Can't wait to connect with you soon.